It's interesting to me. You know, I start off with this idea that we're just going to zip through the story and just get to the next one. I had no idea that we were going to spend up to 3 to 4 weeks just on the burning bush, but it's so loaded. God just has absolutely opened up my spiritual eyes to see some things in His Word that are just too important to miss. Today we're going to spend some time talking about worship, coming before the Lord, responding to His presence. Because there's so much here in these next few verses I want us to see. Okay, so here's what happens. Moses turns aside to see the burning bush. He hears his name called from the bush, and he responds, "Here I am." Okay, we're off to a good start. Things are happening. God's calling Moses. Moses is responding to God. And then God says, "Whoa, stop right where you are. Don't come any closer." Wow, what's up with the welcoming committee here? Don't come any closer. What's God about here? I mean, He's the one that invited him over, and then He tells him to stop. Listen, church, this is very important. When we come to God, we come on His terms. And God is establishing the order of things right here from the beginning with Moses. Right as this is getting started, He's letting Moses know, I am God, and you are not. I am in charge, and you are not. I am holy, and you are not. You know, sometimes I think we get this idea that we are the ones that invite God into our life. We invite Jesus into our heart to follow us in a way. If you think about it, that kind of makes us the leader and Him the follower. But beloved, God doesn't adjust to us. We adjust to God. Jesus said, "Come follow me." God is not like some genie in a bottle that we've somehow discovered that is now at our beck and call to do whatever we want. God is not my vending machine. God is not my homie. God is God. God is holy. God is in charge. And He's letting Moses know that from the very beginning. You see, we don't invite God into our lives. God invites us into His. He's not following our lead. We're following His. He is Lord. I am servant. And this is how we come to God. And God is establishing this with Moses. Now, you know, there's going to be a time when, as you fast forward in the story, when Moses does draw closer. I mean, we could fast forward to Exodus 33, and we're told that Moses would speak with God in a tent, face to face, as a man would speak with a friend. I love that. In fact, it's one of my favorite passages in Scripture, and is a foundation scripture for me personally. When I read that as a young person in Exodus 33:11, I was like, I want that in my life. I want to have that kind of relationship with God. So we know going forward that the longer Moses knew God, the closer he became with God. But at this moment, in this very first worship encounter, God is setting the parameters. He is holy. Don't come any closer yet. And take off your sandals, Moses. This place where you're standing is holy. Why was it holy? Well, because God was there. Holy ground. Take your shoes off. This is a holy place. I kind of think about, it's like when you take your shoes off when you enter a place in some cultures to show honor to whose home it is. You don't just walk in with your dirty shoes. You take off your shoes and you put them at the entrance as a sign of respect, as a sign of reverence. That's true in many, many cultures. And God was saying, you are entering into my presence. This is holy. I want nothing man-made between you and me. I want it to be skin and I want it to be dirt. This is a display of reverence. It's a display of humility, of honor, of respect. You know, I think that these are things that should be at the core of all of our worship. Reverence, humility, honor, respect, awe. And I think sometimes we've lost our sense of that. This deep reverence within worship. This sense of awe. Yeah, I think about Isaiah chapter 6. When Isaiah was caught up in a vision of the throne room of God, he was in awe. And immediately he recognized his undoneness compared to the holy God that was before him. And you know what? I get concerned sometimes by the casualness in which we enter into times of worship. And listen, I know that because of the cross, because of what Jesus did and what Jesus accomplished, that the veil is torn in two and the barrier has been removed, allowing us to approach his throne with confidence, with celebration, with liberty, with fervor and passion, and even with intimacy. But beloved, never without reverence, never without honor and humility, because he is God. Now, I don't believe that reverence equals somber lifelessness. I don't believe it's that. But I do believe that reverence is recognizing whose presence that we're in and responding accordingly. And that can mean with joyful celebration because he's our victorious king. And that can mean with passionate intimacy because he is the love and lover of our souls. But it's always with humility and honor because he's a holy God. Leviticus reminds us that he is the Lord and he must not be treated as common or ordinary because there's nothing ordinary about him. And many times, unfortunately, we make our worship services about us, our preferences, our styles, but our attitude and posture before the Lord should never be casual and indifferent and ordinary. He is God. He is holy. He is worthy of our highest praise, not our lowest efforts. And I have to wonder sometimes that when we come to worship, if we've considered that, or perhaps if the conversation that we're having with our friends out in the foyer, or the cup of coffee that I have in my hand, or the donut that I'm eating at church doesn't somehow take precedent over the fact that I'm being called to worship. Everything should stop. Everything should stop and focus on the Lord because I'm being called to present myself before a holy God. Do we prepare ourselves for worship? Or do we just stroll in and halfway participate? You know? I mean, is it the highest praise that we're giving? You know, I'll speak to our worship leader, Noah, and our worship team, that I believe that when they step on the platform, that they are to be a burning bush with the fire of God in their midst, like we were talking about before, and that it should call us to turn aside, every one of us, to turn aside and worship God. And I would encourage our worship team to never, ever let us be your audience. Never let the stage be a stage where a performance for a man takes place. Never let the platform be just a platform that is used to raise individuals. Always let the place where you're worshiping be an altar where a sacrifice of praise is being offered up to the Lord. See, removing the shoes for Moses was a sign that I am recognizing that in this moment, that at this time, that this place is sacred, and I'm coming before the one who is holy. You see, it was an outward sign of an inward reverence. It was an outward display of inward humility. You know, when we come to worship, we need to ask, am I prepared to worship? Am I prepared to come before him? You know, I love the words to the song that I sang as a child and a youth that would just give us the God shivers. It was like this. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is here, and where he is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is here, and where he is holy. We are standing on holy ground. Oh, just singing it just gives me that feeling inside of just the holiness and the reverence that we're to have before God. We want this place to be a place where heaven touches earth. And for that to happen, we have to practice, participate, and prioritize the presence of God. Well, let's keep going. Verse 6.